Well, one question, though, that I would like to finish with is, analytic philosophers think of philosophy as much more continuous with science or informed by formal logic, while continental philosophers are influenced by literary traditions or psychoanalysis or Marxism, which, since you mentioned Popper earlier, many analytic philosophers have been hostile to. So I just wanted to be more clear on what characterizes this philosophical approach to reality that you have in mind. Is it just this Socratic method that unites them? But if that's the case, then where do they diverge?
For me, no, I'm not saying we should all just become Socratics and so on, the Socratic approach would have been here very modest, but at the same time crucial. It would have been simply, first, I'm a pessimist. When we have this opposition of vaguely continental philosophy and analytic philosophy, I think that each of them, as a rule, if we generalize it into two simple positions, continental, analytic, has usually a very raw, wrong, simplifying image of its opponent. Like if you read some analytic philosophers, then guys like Hegel and Heidegger are confused idiots, And I also admit, more than willingly, if you read some people high in hermeneutic tradition, they don't see the extraordinary finesse of much of analytic philosophy. There are incredible things happening there, but even in analytic philosophy, you mentioned Popper, no? But then, I don't follow them totally, but then I like guys like Thomas Kuhn and so on, who kind of tried to reject, maybe it's too strong a word, the Popperian tradition from within the very analytic space. First, empirically, claiming, and I love this, proves that science doesn't progress in this simple way of, hypothesis is falsified and so on. No, it's much more complex. Even I read a wonderful analysis of, still in first stage of relativity. Do you know that it's not as simple as that Einstein had the right intuition, and then it was only empirically confirmed by some, I don't know, star, moonlight, and so on. It's that many, at least at that stage of experimenting, many empirical results spoke against Einstein. And it was his greatness that you said, F you. No, there must be something wrong. I love this when scientists get a little bit arrogant and say, almost in a Hegelian way, when Hegel says, if facts don't fit theory, so much worse for the facts, Sometimes good scientists do this. At a certain point, Einstein said this. He said, okay, if your measurements don't fit my theory, so much worse for your measurements. There must be something wrong in your measurements, And I think that big progresses in science happens in this way. It's not simply you get contrary data and then you say, oh my God, it's too much. Let's change the frame and so on. It's a more complex development, no?
Well, this is another place where philosophy is so important, because you mentioned that science does not always progress with hypothesis, falsify, and so on. The issues that we've been discussing are precisely some of these areas. You can't really test whether there are multiple branches in the many worlds theory of quantum mechanics because they're causally disconnected from us. Or even with string theory and loop quantum gravity, in the regimes where quantum gravitational phenomena are salient, we have no way of generating enough energy to run experiments. So we need to evaluate the situation philosophically. It's
wonderful what you said now, because for me, the strongest from the scientific point even, criticism, I don't know if it's true, maybe you know more, of string theory, is that it's not only that we cannot yet measure and confirm it experimentally, it's that with our present knowledge, it's even difficult, some scientists try, I know, but nonetheless, it's even difficult to imagine experiments that would do it, you know. It's very difficult. So again, here I am a little bit of a naive empiricist and saying, is it now, Sean Carroll wouldn't like what I will say now, but is it worth the price to go into multiverse? You know, like, it's so counterintuitive, the price. You want to be an empirical scientist, but you are doing what even the most crazy philosophers wouldn't be doing. You invoke an endless multiplicity of worlds with whom you will never interact, and so on, you know.
Well, it's funny you say that because
empiricism here?